Emily Miller of the Washington Times with us tonight. Emily, thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me, always.
You bet. You've written about something we've seen happening all over the country. The headlines of gun sales up. I saw the Lubbock Avalanche Journal had talked to a gun store who said gun sales were up last Saturday about 400% over what he normally sees. What are you hearing from the gun manufacturers and the retailers? How long do they expect this to last?
Well, it's funny you ask. I asked them all that same question. How long does this go on? Because, as you know, gun sales and ammo sales have been going up for years since Obama's been in office. And everyone knew going into the election they were going up drastically this year. And now they've gone up, as you said, this enormous numbers in the past week. So, and they all keep saying we don't know where our saturation point is in this market because we keep finding more of a base. We keep finding new people, new gun owners, and people, a lot of women they've never seen before. And people are also broadening. Handgun owners are getting into the ARs. And so it's impossible to even say when this slows down or when this lessens.
Interesting. Clearly it's not going to be anytime soon. Now, a lot of folks are buying guns for the first time. You also have gun owners, obviously, who are buying more. You've got a feature that you are now doing where you talk with high-profile individuals about the guns that they own, and you actually talked to Donald Trump. I wonder if Donald has purchased any new firearms since the election.
Not that I am aware of. And, he lives in New York City. Everything in New York City, it's not quite as bad as D.C., what I've gone through to get a gun legally, because you actually can have a carry permit in D.C., which the Donald does. And he's been public about that before. He says he has a carry permit. He also has a lot of security. And so you can get carry permits. You just have to go through a lot to get it. But what's interesting is he had never said before exactly what he had. And so I interviewed him in Florida recently during the convention and asked him, and he said, well, I don't talk about it. And I said, come on, I have a SIG 229. I was like, I'm a gun owner, so I kind of weaseled it out of him. And, so he has an H&K and he has a Smith & Wesson, at 45 H&K. And, it's just interesting to know, what this billionaire is carrying in New York City. And, obviously I'm sure he gets a lot of death threats. I'm sure he gets a lot of, security threats. And, so, on the point of this feature, and I did it last week, or 2 weeks ago, it was on Paul Ryan, who at the time was, running for vice president and has quite a selection. And you and I talked about this, how we found out from that he sometimes uses a revolver to hunt deer, and then he also has a 9mm at home for self-defense. And, the purpose of it is twofold. One is it's just interesting, especially for all of us gun owners, just to hear what people have and the make and model and caliber, but also interesting on, why they have certain guns, what they use them for, what their purposes, where they got their guns. But also, the subtext of all of this is to show the gun grabbers out there, which are now going to be running the government, again, for another 4 years, that regular, law-abiding, normal people who have no intention of committing crimes but only intend to defend themselves or prevent crimes have a lot of guns. And so, this conception that, Obama has of all those people out there clinging to their guns and religion and just sort of, the flyover states who don't matter to him and these liberals, these conservatives who he doesn't understand, to show, Donald Trump, he's a billionaire. He lives in New York. He's got security, full-time security. But he has 2 guns and a carry permit. And that doesn't mean he's going to shoot people. That doesn't mean he's irresponsible, and
Right.
I think it really sort of makes our, gun owner world seem, what it is, which is law-abiding people who are preventing crimes every day. And, what's gone on in this past week with all these new people getting guns, as well as current gun owners buying guns, and the statistics are just sort of astronomical. As you said, you saw, you talked to one is 400% increase. I didn't talk to anyone who's that much, but
Yeah.
The ones I talked to one of the owners, Richard Sprague in Arizona. He's had a 70% increase.
Wow.
Interestingly, half long guns and half handguns. most people are reporting more handgun sales. And then I talked to Miles Hall in Oklahoma City.
Oh, yeah.
And he said that he's had 105% increase in a week.
Wow.
And I actually said to him, could you repeat that?
And that's amazing because Miles is busy on a normal week. So if sales are up more than 100% for Miles, that's pretty incredible.
It's a big difference. It's an incredible difference. And his are more, he says, 3 times as many handguns as long guns. He also said that, which is also very telling, he has a 55-person shooting range. And he said opening bells 9 o'clock. He says since the election, all 55 location spots are filled by 9:30.
Wow.
So people are not only buying guns, but they're preparing to use them. They're training with them. And you can also just look at the stock prices. We've got 2 publicly traded companies that we can look at, the Ruger Company and Smith & Wesson. Both of their stocks in the last week have gone up over 15%, which is even more telling is their markets are down 3%. So it's an enormous difference. Because of these sales. And I talked to some gun manufacturers and ammunition manufacturers as well, and they don't like to go on the record on this stuff, but they'll talk to me sort of off the record and say, they can't keep it in stock, and we all know that. And the demand has increased enormously. And the thing that's really helped gun sales more than anything, and it's helping this industry to prosper in this economy, is Barack Obama saying right before the election that he wants to restrict what he calls cheap handguns. And he wants to ban all the scary guns, which is what they call the assault weapons ban, which, of course, is just guns that kind of look scary in the movies.
Right.
And then top it off, we found out that Dianne Feinstein, who's the author of the assault weapons ban, had her staff the Friday before the election demand a meeting at ATF facility in West Virginia and told them they want to renew the ban. And now that Obama is going to be reelected, and also expand it so that people who have these guns will not have them grandfathered in, so they won't be able to sell it, meaning that the only thing you can do with your gun is to give it back to the government. So, all these things are very legitimate, and that's what all the retailers I spoke with, and even the industry, NSSF, and people who know what's going on in the private companies, say that the demand has gone up because of that fear that they're not going to have the selection they can get. They won't be able to get, a gun with a folding stock or, one with a pistol grip and all these things that the liberals want to get rid of. And so they want to get it before these things start coming down from Washington.
Yeah. No, I think you're absolutely right. Emily, listen, really appreciate you joining us on the program. Great talking to you, and look forward to doing it again very soon.
Thanks for having me, Cam.
You bet.
Bye-bye.